Okay. Okay, so here we go. All right. So for today's topic in my daily confirmation, the topic I covered was the I can't believe I just lost it like that. Anyways, the importance of learning curves and embracing learning curves. Excuse, I'm going to be rearranging this freaking microphone stand for a minute because sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But I guess that's all part of learning curves. So, the topic I talked about was learning curves and embracing them and things of that nature. Because for some reason, we have this habit in culture, or in, I don't want to hate saying society and all that other bullshit, but we have this habit of teaching our children or teaching the next generation, you want to try new things, you want to do new things, you want to reach that next level. But the issue with that is that sometimes we don't tell them that those first steps are going to be hard. We don't tell them about learning how to embrace the curve or knowing how to ride the curve, because we expect people just to start at something and then just be good at it 20 seconds later. I don't know why that's so weird. The thing is, we see all these like movies where people are just naturally good at things and they assume that they're also naturally good. To be completely honest with you, I've never been naturally good at anything. Not a thing. Like, I can't even think of a sport like, somebody just picked up a ball and they were just good. Like, no, it didn't work like that. Golf, I was trash. I was trash for like the first 4 years. And then the 5th year, I started knocking down putts. And then they were like, oh, wow, he's pretty good. Hockey, trash my first 3 years. Then I got good on the 4th year. Everything I did, I've always been trash in the beginning. My photography, I never was good. I never was good, but I was always the most consistent because I always learned really early that, hey, guess what? You're going to have to learn how to embrace that learning curve. Learning curves, so I'm gonna use 3 examples of just how learning curves have affected me, and maybe you can apply them to your life, whatever works best for you. We're gonna use an academic example, we're gonna use a social example, and then we're gonna use like a hobby example. So, for example, let's start off with academics. Let's do premise 1, academics, right? So back in high school, when I attended LACES, Los Angeles Center for Rich Studies, go Unicorns, I learned that I took Japanese. Now, I took Japanese for about like 4 or 5 years, something like that. And you would think, wow, somebody who took Japanese that long, they must be like completely fluent in the language. False, 100%. It took me forever to actually learn how to read the language, that I never really got time to learn how to speak the language. Now I can pick up little prefixes like nobimas, tabimas, whatever, like little things like that. Eat, drink, yes, no, go, maybe, polite, hello, good morning, like all those little things. I still memorize them, but I never really got fluent at the language. Why am I telling you this? Well, here's the thing. Because I know I'm never good at something on the first try, I accepted that I'm not going to be good at it, but I know in the long scheme of life, I know that I'm going to be the best. I know I'm going to be able to speak Japanese 5 years from now, still to this day, because the thing is that once I learn something, I never forget it. I never lose my edge because it takes me so long to reach that point. So anyways, to this day, I mark my words, this is December 2nd, 2020, that maybe by 2025 we'll have an all Japanese vlog, like just Muhammad speaking fluent Japanese. I'll probably go to Japan, pick up some thrift pieces, take my sewing machine out there, do some cone pieces and sell them. Still have the hoodies and whatnot out here for available in order, but my one pieces, I'll probably pick some up in Japan or something like that, whatever. But yeah, I'm saying all this, I'm rambling, but I'm saying all this because guess what? You have to accept the fact you're not going to be good at something for the first time. It's not going to work. It takes time. So that's my academic example. My social example is that, so I'll get a little bit more personal. So I dated a girl who wasn't black, right? And before I used to be on my horse, I only date black and whatever. And that used to be the path I was on, the path that I was taught, and the path that I thought was the only way to go. Now, my homie slash roommate told me at the time, he was like, maybe you should try something new. You should, date something new, date outside the race, see what happens, whatever, just try out something. And then I said, all right, cool. Well, here's the thing. There was a learning curve, learning cultural curve in that situation, but it was up to me. I didn't think she really liked me to begin with, but whatever. That's here nor there. Whatever. That's nobody can judge that. I thought I was a phase, but whatever. The issue with that is that, and not the issue, is that in the beginning there was a significant amount of a learning curve. Like, it was a learning curve in our cultures. It was a learning curve in us learning one another. Now, here's the thing where things get tricky in a learning curve in a social situation. How long are you willing to make that curve? How long are you willing to accept that learning curve? So, and with my situation, she wasn't willing to stay around the curve long enough, so she did the dash. She's going about her life and doing what she has to do, whatever, right? But then there's other people who are willing to keep on learning through the curve and trying to figure out and just learning to grow from it. They like the idea of learning. So that could be the deeper solution, is that you just have to love learning in order to accept the learning curve. But with my dating situation, you have to make sure that you're dating someone who's also willing to accept the cultural learning curve each step of the way. Like, it's not going to be an easy walk through the park, because guess what? Not only two different people, but you're two totally different colors who come from two totally different backgrounds. Sometimes that shit works, sometimes it doesn't. Lota, you owe me some money. I told you, but whatever. That's here nor there. Anyways, that's an example of a learning curve in a more personal, social situation. You don't have to necessarily go by it, but you don't necessarily have to accept it nor deny it. But understand, learning curves are a good thing. If it wasn't for that situation, I probably wouldn't know what I do know about that culture. But you have to make sure, if you do it with someone intimate, you have to make sure that they're just as mentally strong, or not. I'm just calling, that means I'm referring to as weak. I don't want to say that, but you want to make sure you're doing it with someone who's also willing to learn in that type of setting, who's willing to learn new cultural differences at the same time. Because if you don't, you're going to be out here looking like me. Now, here I'm going to move on to another example. So then I use the academic, I use the social example, and now I'm use more of a hobby. Now, my hobby examples they're endless. Behind me, I'm sure if you can see it, it's off camera. Is it? It might be, I don't know. But I have my sewing machine behind me. Now, prior to 2020, I had no idea how to sew. Now, I've always had the sewing machine because I told myself I'm going to learn how to sew. So after a while, I bought it. I took a class. I went on YouTube and I was like, today is the day I'm going to learn how to sew. And lo and behold, now Mohammed, or Augusto Cone, really, whatever, knows how to sew. And that's like something I'm fairly decent at. Now I'm putting liners in jackets and whatnot. And soon I'll be doing my own blankets and things of that nature. And I'm able to do all these things because I was able to accept that learning curve in the beginning. I started off with just the needle and thread, and then I'm using the machine. I think the hardest part for sewing for me would be the bobbin, or threading the bobbin, because it always falls off, or I'm always losing it. I don't understand. If anybody has any solutions for that, comment below on how they thread bobbins. I have a brother machine. If anyone wants to help me or send me some tutorials or whatever, feel free to send them my way. But yeah, it's just like, it's a learning curve that I accepted. It's a learning curve that I love. It's a learning curve that I'll always appreciate. It's learning curves are great. I tell everyone to go ahead and embrace them. I have a learning curve with my photography. Now I think I'm pretty decent at it. Some of my next my lookbook photo shoot pictures that are coming out with Key is like, I was amazed. They look like a professional brand, and I was amazed at the fact that not only did I take them, but I edit them. I did the booking, I did everything myself, and I've never been in a position like that. So it felt good. It felt really good to do that. Also, like, another learning curve was my video editing. I looked at some of my first videos. I don't really have them anymore due to just errors in hard drives. Excuse me. Errors in hard drives and things of that nature, so I don't have a lot of my original videos. But man, it feels good to know how far I've come, because the first video I did was for a project with Jalen. I got to sew his hoodies up and get them ready, but they were for a project. It was extra credit, and I was like, look, if I'm a photographer and that's moving pictures and I understand photos go over sound, then I should be able to do a video. And that's literally what I did. Now, fast forward, and I got a job at Campus Programming, and I told them I was a graphic designer. I wasn't a graphic designer at all. I didn't even know how to turn on Photoshop. I had learned the day before my interview. But it was a learning curve on graphics and understanding fonts and complementary colors, understanding bold fonts, and knowing when to drop shadow effects, After Effects, Illustrator, when using vectors, like all these factors that I learned, all thanks to just accepting that I have a learning curve on things. Like, it's okay. It's okay to embrace your learning curves. It's okay not to know how to do everything fresh out the rip. And now that's led me to where I am today, like the all-around videographer, graphic photographer, After Effects, seamstress, designer-esque. Even with this mic and everything, like I learned how to mix and master. And like, it's like if you look at some of my old videos, the audio sounded not nearly this good. And it's because after a while I just started caring and wanting to accept my learning curves. And now that's why my audio quality is better than some of my visuals in some of these. But yeah, like this is just like one take, nothing too crazy. Accepting your learning curves, keep on breaking that, like it's keep on going. Don't let anything don't discourage yourself, because a learning curve is exactly what you need to reach that next level, and you can do it, and you should keep on doing it, because if you don't have any learning curves in your life, what the fuck are you doing? Because you can't. It means you're not doing anything new. That means if you don't feel uncomfortable doing something new, then you're not living life to its full extent. Unlike me, every day for me is a new learning curve. But yeah, I don't know where I'm at with time. Let me see. Oh, I'm way past. I try to keep these around the 10-minute mark, but thank you for listening to this whole ordeal. Make sure to comment below if you have any questions for me of that nature. I would love to answer them for you. Feel free to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, whatever you need. And let's just keep this conversation going. This is your daily confirmation extended. Stay happy, stay optimistic, and I'll see you back again tomorrow for your next episode of your daily confirmation. You out.